Hey there, my friends. Welcome back to the Motivational Firewood video channel, radio show, and any other way we're going to share this conversation. Going to get right into it. Today, we're talking with Jen Nittolo. Jen is one of my vision board coaching clients. She also works for a company that I've done 8 years in a row with my live vision board event in January. And then we basically spend the rest of the year supporting each other, following up, tagging on social media whenever we have those critical, what we call clicks or steps in the right direction. And this conversation is one I've been waiting on for a while. I've been looking forward to having this one, and there's a very special reason why. So, hey there, Jen. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Steve. Thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome. It's a pleasure having you on, believe me, because this has been quite the journey. So I'm just going to paint a real small, quick picture of it. And then I'm going to ask you some questions about your journey. So Jen's goal for a while now has been a pretty big one. And we've been working together on this for just a hair over 2 years to see it through to completion. And I will let her share. Jen, what is the goal and why did you set this as one of your big goals a couple of years ago on your vision board?
The big goal was to go to Africa. And it's something that I have always envisioned. Ever since I've seen photos of the Serengeti just growing up and just throughout my life, seeing all the beautiful animals, all of the scenery there, understanding a lot of the origin of Africa, like it just feels, I feel like I have an old soul inside me or something that needs to go, right? So I said, I've got to go. And oh my gosh, I have this business, Athena's, where I'm making income. Why couldn't I do this? Why couldn't I set aside a portion of my income from Athena's to go to Africa? So the big goal was to hit $10,000 to go to Africa after discussing with my travel agent just how much it would cost for both me and Mikey to go for a decent amount of time. So that's why I picked it. And that was the huge goal, 10,000.
Yeah. Now you said something very, very important in there, and I want people to catch this. You set a goal, and then you also, and this is something we talked about early on during our coaching, went and found the experts, someone whom you trust, you have a relationship with, to find out exactly what it was going to take to make the goal happen. It wasn't just, some people say, well, I throw it out to the universe and I wait for it to happen. You went and found out how much this trip was going to cost. So you knew in concrete what it was going to be. Now, I've got a question for you too. And I've been doing vision board events now for about 13 years. How did it feel the next morning after that vision board event when you put Africa on there for the first time? How did it feel the next morning when you weren't in a full crowd of people, when I wasn't in the room cheering you on? How did it feel looking at that goal?
When I looked at that goal, I think everyone, when they have a big goal, they might have a moment of, oh, can I do this? You know, they have that thought, like that creeping doubt that just kind of comes into the back of your mind, like, I've never done this before, so how can I do it now, right? But then I looked at it and I said, you know what? If I have been able to save income to take my family on a trip with Athena's, and if I have someone as amazing as Steve Gamlin as a leader and mentor to help me along the way, why can't I do this? So I looked at and I broke it down number by number, and I said, well, you know, I can absolutely set aside this much money from each party, and I'm already making such and such amount, so why can't I set aside some more? So absolutely, I was remotivated at that point. I was like, you know what, I absolutely can do this, and I'm gonna do it.
Nice. I love that. Because there are, and you alluded to it in there, when you said at first there was that moment of, oh my gosh, because it's so easy to get caught up in the momentum. When we're together with Athena's each January for the vision board event, there's anywhere from 60 to 85 of us in the room. The room is on fire. It is electric. And there's a couple hundred more people watching with their teams, their Athena's teams, remotely all across the country. So when you're in the room, gosh, anything is possible. But when you're back home the next day in your regular place with just you, I'm sure and I've lived through this as well over the years when I've been part of events, and all of a sudden the next day I'm back to my routine in my house, in my brain, and you just think, oh my gosh. So I want to ask you, what was the toughest part, especially early on in starting to progress toward achieving the goal?
I think the toughest part, and I hope that I can speak to a lot of people when I say this, is letting personal things in your life creep into your business. That was the toughest part to overcome, but I did it. So like we all have these things that I call them things that come up in our lives, like, oh no, I just got this unexpected bill, or oh no, my friend needs help, or A, B, or C that may come up in your life that may feel like a big hurdle, like, oh no, I have to take care of so-and-so now, or I have to take care of this bill. So how can I focus on my goal that I originally wanted to do when I have so much else to think about, right? And that's where a lot of like self-care came in for me. And I really feel that that's what helped push me past those tough parts. Just the self-care with honestly the products we use, I must say, Sweet Dream Cream, relaxation. But then also just sometimes just doing it, right? Like the Nike saying, just do it, right? Like, oh, I have this party scheduled. Yeah, I may have these other personal things going on in my life, but I'm not going to allow that to take away my enthusiasm for this party, because not only do I owe it to these people who showed up to this party to have a great time, to do a great job for them, but I owe it to myself and my goal that I originally set for myself. And so I don't let anything stop me. And it helps, because once you get into that mindset and that mode of like, I've got this and I can do this, and you stay positive, you like, sometimes it's like the phrase, you fake it till you make it. Like sometimes it might feel like you're faking it at the beginning, like, well, I'm not really feeling positive right now, I feel like I have to kind of fake this right now. But sometimes the more that you like think about that and feel that way, it brings on actual feelings of positivity and confidence in your brain.
And that's a phrase that's been taking a beating lately. There's so many people in my industry who say, don't fake it till you make it, and then they throw out their little twist on it. What I go back to with that is Jack Canfield saying, acting as if. And he used to exercise with his clients. He would do a come as you'll be party. Like, say, if it was the year 1990, he would invite people to a party and say, come as you'll be in the year 2000, and act as if you've already achieved that. So some of they call themselves purists, but they just twist it. They say, don't fake it till you make it. And then they have their own little solution. But I totally agree with that. It's acting as if. It's kind of putting on the suit of that successful person and walking around in it and getting comfortable taking the steps, get comfortable with the way it fits, with how it feels, and you suddenly get taller. I remember years ago, I ran into somebody I hadn't really seen since high school, and we ran into each other at a couple of networking meetings. And one day I was the director of this particular group, and he saw me coming up the driveway to meet somebody after their meeting, and he pulled me aside. He says, man, I've never seen you walk with that much confidence. He said, and I did 4 years of high school with you and never saw that. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, I'm in charge of this whole group of people. I need to act as if I've got the confidence to direct and get results and inspire them and all of that. So yeah, acting as if, and I'm good with fake it till you make it. I'm okay with that.
Yep.
Because you're not robbing anybody of anything. You just maybe don't have that name tag on with the big fancy title yet.
Right.
You're going to walk through that day, though, acting as though you've already got that job. And the rest of the universe doesn't really know if you're faking it, as long as you come up with your confidence and you do the work.
Yep.
Yeah. And you do it with integrity, which I know you do. What do you think the easiest part of this whole journey? And you and I have been working on this and this is only part of your board, by the way. You're still rocking other parts of your vision board. But what do you think was the easiest part of making this goal happen?
The easiest part. Ooh, I like this. I think that the easiest part is recognizing how much support I've had, and having the support from the people around me, like yourself, like my friends, like my family, my Goddess and Adonai friends. Like, that's the part that is easy for me to recognize, and also it helps make it a lot easier for me when I have people cheering me on like that, and buying me earrings, like, look at these giraffe earrings, that it's been amazing to have people like that in my life. And I'm just so thankful, and I'm so grateful that I have these people. So, and thank you, Steve, really.
You are welcome. It has been an absolute joy. And I love every time we have a conversation, you're wearing either giraffe earrings or necklace or something, because
Yeah.
you're making, and this is really important, you're making your goal part of who you are. You're showing up representing your goal. And I'm a member of so many different social media groups with regard to vision boards. And some of them operate in a mindset of arts and crafts project. And I try to bring in the depth of what's really possible. And I read a question the other day where somebody said, I made my very first vision board. I don't have my own private office in my home, so I've got to hang it somewhere, but I want to know, where should I hide it when company comes over? And my answer was,
What?
if you feel the need to hide it, I said, first off, my vision boards are here in my recording studio, and anybody that comes over asks me questions, and it always gets a really great conversation. And I think this person was worried about other people saying, well, what's that? It's silly. It's stupid. Those are your goals. Why do you want? And my comment at the end is, look, I don't know you, so I'm not going to say this to be judgmental, but if you have to worry about what people are going to say about it in a negative way, are these the people you really want coming in your house anyway?
Mm-hmm.
Or crossing your path, or being in your life, or whatever? I mean, I tend to surround myself with people who've got my back, who support me, or at least give me a thumbs up, and don't just try to tear me down. And I think that's what this person was worried about. And I know early on in my personal development journey, I had people very close to me. And one person I remember very distinctly saying, ever since you started listening to that Tony effing Robbins, you've changed. And that literally came from somebody. I'm not going to say who it was, but it was somebody very important in my life at the time. And I very quickly started making decisions to leave people like that out of my life. It didn't mean we got in a fight. It just meant I made very little time for them. And all the people you mentioned, and I'm honored to be among them, have been here cheering you on big time. Because if there's anything you have not done, you have not hidden in a corner or hidden in a closet with this goal. Why don't you explain to all the people watching and listening right now what you've been doing consistently, so that the world now knows you, including the CEO, Mother Goddess Jennifer Joliker of Athena's, now refer to you as Giraffica Jen anytime they talk about you. So why don't you talk about how you've been sharing this goal with the world right along?
So one of the very first things I did is you and I collaborated actually in this idea to have a giraffe poster up, because all of you know, like the thermometer goals, like you've seen it, I'm sure, passing by churches and whatnot, where people are saving a certain amount of money and you fill in the thermometer as you go. Well, for me, it's giraffe spots. So every single spot on the giraffe represented $500 in savings. And so I knew that it might take about 2 years or so. So I was like, okay, year one, here's my 5,000 in savings. Year two, here's my additional 5,000 in savings to create the total of 10,000 that I needed. So I have been sharing with the world, essentially, as many people as I can talk to about it, that I've been saving my income and filling in the Giraffica circle. So it's a combination of the giraffe and Africa hashtag that I've been, social media campaigning on, and going live every time that I fill in a circle to save that money. And honestly, just having a lot of visual representations, like the earrings, like you mentioned. I know we got the giraffe stickers for my shower, so I see it everywhere, So it's a combination of sharing it with the world and everyone I know. And also it's a combination of reminding myself of it with the visuals, having the background on my phone as well. So it's been really, really fun, honestly.
Yeah. And what you just talked about, filling in the spots. Now, do you have one of the Giraffica posters right there that you can share on camera?
I sure can, if you don't mind waiting a second.
Nope, that's quite all right. So what I want to talk about is something you mentioned of, you celebrated the incremental victories along the way. I mean, we've all looked up, if you've ever gone hiking or mountain climbing, you're standing in the parking lot looking up and you're going, oh my gosh, I have to go all that way. Well, if you don't celebrate
Right.
the little steps along the way, and be grateful for, and gratitude is huge. Be grateful for the progress you're making. It can be really tough because all of a sudden you can be like, I've been climbing for an hour, a day, 2 days, and I don't feel any closer to the top of the mountain. Maybe I should just go back. So celebrating incrementally is huge, I believe, in the process of achieving your goals, because who you become along the way is just as important as what you get when you get to the top, and the connections you make as well. So yeah, if you would show the Giraffrica poster there. This has been a blast. And the funniest part about this is, you mentioned the banks and the social organizations that have those big giant thermometers. They pay a fortune to have those printed. This is a page out of a kid's coloring book. That's how simple it was.
Yeah. Oh, it's so great. Here it is.
Oh, look at that.
2018 here. I've got 2019 here, which honestly, I think I should fill in the the Jen and Mike right here. I got
That's
fill
right.
Those in too.
Yeah, there were 10 spots, so we had to make sure we put your names.
So good. So
that's awesome. Love that. Love
very
that.
fun.
Yeah. And what a lot of people may not know, I know this, and I hope it's okay to mention this. You've been with Athena's for how long now? How many years?
Just over 6 years.
Okay. Just over 6 years. And when you started, just like a lot of other people, maybe your confidence wasn't built up yet. Maybe you didn't know how you're going to create as much success. Maybe you looked at the top sellers in the company and were a little intimidated, like a lot of people can be.
Definitely.
Partway through this journey, not even a year ago, and I hope it's okay to mention this, in addition to your Athena's business, you had a full-time job. And all of a sudden, that disappeared. Now you've got all this money saved up, but then all of a sudden you have real life come crashing down around you. Some people would have just cashed out Giraffrica and shredded those beautiful cartoon pictures. What did you do about that?
Oh boy, I tell you what, I am glad that you mentioned that, because that is something that was unexpected in my life. Full disclosure, full honesty here. I will tell you that I was already planning on leaving. However, I wasn't planning on it being that quick, right? They let me go pretty quick. So what I did at that point is I put my mind into hyper-focus mode. I was like, guess what? I've already been making this much with Athena's. I've already got this much clientele. Here I am about 5 to 5.5 years in. And I'm like, you know what? I can do this. I can really make this full time now. I can just book as many parties as possible. So I went into like work mode. And I know a lot of you out there are already great workers, right? So you already know how to work hard, but it's all about not letting the unexpected things in life hit you. Again, it comes back to what I was saying earlier, right? Like something happens to you in life, like a friend that might need your help, or an unexpected bill. Like, don't let that sidetrack you from what you want to do, and just get out there and work it and get your mind right, and you can do it. You can.
Yeah. And you've stepped up your game, because I see the updates month after month. Being a contractor with Athena's, I see in here, and I get tagged in, which I love the most, all of the celebrations year round. And your name over the past year has been getting mentioned every month in top 10, top 5, growing your team, celebrating with your team. And I know that, is it once a month that somebody comes in, one of the team members, and actually does a full-on presentation in front of the company at the big meetings each month?
Yes, that's right. And guess what? I'm actually doing a presentation next Wednesday.
Yes, you are. And what is your presentation on? Because this is a big part of something we worked on together. Well, part of it is, I'm not going to take credit for all that you do, but some of the things that we've worked on together have become part of your business toolbox. And I love this. So what are you going to be presenting on for the others?
Yes, it's actually called How to Become a Goal Getter, telling people about how I continued on in this journey, how I got my goal, and how they can too, how they can apply it. So that's what it's all about.
Nice. And another thing that we worked on and this could apply to anybody who works with the public and has their own events and parties and stuff, was the use on social media, the use of video of you getting on, because nobody can talk about your business the way you do. Nobody can talk about your goals the way you do. And I talk about Giraffica a lot when I tell stories, but it's never quite the same as when we're on camera together talking about it. So you've taken on this new phase of creating videos to almost like your own little promo videos, like movie trailers of your events and what's going to happen and what to expect. And you always, just like the cliffhangers in movie trailers, for a long time, you would ask people certain questions to come up and ask you at the event, and it generates excitement. If you can make the world excited to work with you and make what you do look really, really cool and fun and exciting and give some people hope, that is such a gift that you can give to your clients. And judging by the top 10 and top 5 in sales that I've seen over the past year or so, you're doing it very, very well.
Thank you.
And that's got to be a cool thing. Now, we talked about this at first, and like anything else, when you start a new skill or start something new, boy, we can be brutal on ourselves, can't we?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I saw your head nodding there. But we all have to have those, what I refer to as, oh my gosh, that was so bad. If you put macaroni and glitter on it, it would be hanging on my mom's fridge as a kindergarten project. But our confidence grows. We get better. We set bigger goals. So now that you celebrated Giraffica, you colored in that final circle with a nice, beautiful silver the other day on social media. I saw you doing that live. What's next?
Ooh, what's the next goal? Ooh, this is very revealing. It's like a secret. Okay.
There's no secrets here.
I know, no secrets.
There's going to all of a sudden be a thing that blacks out, like, we can't reveal Jen's secret for real, but she's really still talking about it behind this, blurred out screen.
I love it. Well, my next goal is to actually get myself into a new house. That's right.
Nice.
So a little bit more of like the more practical end of things, but we're gonna still make it just as fun, trust me.
Yeah.
Because we deserve a better living space, and that's what we're gonna do.
Nice. Love that. Now, have you already sketched out kind of what, the type of house you'd like, or at least found some plans that look like something you want? Or is there something in town, or have you traveled somewhere and seen a house that you say, I would really like to live in a house? Or have you seen certain rooms and said, oh my gosh, our home has got to have this, and started collecting pictures of what that might look like?
So yes, on my vision board, I have a picture of a house. Ooh, maybe I should tell you.
Go for it. I would love to see this.
So, and we've done a little bit of Zillowing for those of you that know the website Zillow. But there's like certain things that we've looked at that we're like, okay, we need this. So Mikey and I think some people know, we're in a band together, and he does musical stuff as well. He's like, we need a place to practice. Like, our house isn't big enough. We need that. And we need like, just, more space. So I'm going to flip it. So something similar to that, hopefully a garage as well would be amazing. So we need the storage area, we need a garage. And by the way, that 145.2, that's a weight.
Oh, okay.
Get to that weight. But yeah, that's sort of what I am envisioning at this moment. And, again, that vision is still developing a little bit, but that's where I'm at.
That is absolutely gorgeous. Now, just understand, only because I've known musicians for the past 30 years, you're going to need some extra bedrooms, because after practice, they're all going to want to crash at your house because you got the cool place.
If we let them.
If we let them, yeah. The band bus is leaving now. So as we wrap up this conversation, which of course is, our conversations are ongoing because we've been working together for so long with our coaching one-on-one. What advice would you offer somebody who is maybe brand new to vision boarding, or brand new to goal setting, or not really confident in themselves? What advice, I know that's kind of a lot, but what advice would you offer somebody?
Some solid pieces of advice that I would offer to you is to, first of all, get people in your life that support you. Again, those people that are doubting you, you have to ignore them. You have to move on and find people that will support you. And when you're first starting out, remember that if you can, what's that phrase? I'm sure you might know this one. If you can't see the whole staircase, as long as you see the first step.
Yep.
Yeah.
Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King. Yes.
I'm paraphrasing. That's not the exact quote.
It's very close.
Right? So all you have to see is that first step and just take it. And also treat it, whatever you're doing for your business, treat it like a job, right? Like, this is my job. I've got to show up. If I don't show up, then I'm not going to get that next step and that next step and that next step. So keep showing up, find people in your life that are going to be supportive. Work on your own self-love and self-confidence, which again, self-care comes back to that as well. Mm-hmm. So honestly, that's like the perfect trio right there. Have that combination constantly going so that you're more motivated to continue to work towards it, and you will do it.
Excellent. Jen, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. It's just been an honor working with you and watching, not just watching you get closer to the goal, but every time I see you coloring in a spot on a giraffe on one of your Facebook Lives, because I love that you share this with the world. You've shared your entire journey. Even the days where you said, well, I only have a half giraffe. And that's why some of the giraffes, the spots are two different colors, because we had a half giraffe instead. You've grown just in confidence. You stand taller. You sing more when you're doing your Facebook Lives, because you are in a band and you are a great vocalist. And I just, as it's gotten closer to achieving, there's just such a joy about you. And I love what it's done for your self-confidence and what it's done for other people around you. Because when I'm at the Vision Board event, if I say Giraffrica, everybody starts yelling your name, clapping and cheering. And I just love that, because you weren't afraid to share your goal, as big as it sounded, with the entire world, whether they're close to you or just have heard of you or just saw you one day on a Facebook Live and wondered, what's this Giraffrica thing? I love that you've been out there completely out loud and authentic and vulnerable. And I think that's the greatest way to work towards your goals, to just be you. And that's it.
I totally agree. And thank you so much.
You're welcome. What we're going to do here too is, for anybody who would like to learn more about vision boarding and being on the journey that Jen is on, we're going to share her very special access link to the Vision Board Mastery Program. So we will be sharing that here somewhere in the video, so that if you want to check it out, you can do that. And you can be just like Jen, even if you don't want to go to Africa, whatever goal it is you want to do. Her journey, and this is why we have these conversations. We're talking about this to inspire the next person who wants to do something really big, but maybe doesn't believe in themselves yet, or, as used to be the case for me, just didn't know what to do next or where to start.
Get on it. That's right.
Get on it. Jen, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. It most definitely will not be the last, and I look forward to our next one.
Me too. Thank you, Steve.